Also, let me ask, who has ever bought a fake phone?
Raises a hand.
You. Hi guys, my name is Nick. Welcome to Infobit, and today we are going to discuss about fake phones. On set, I have the usual suspects.
Kaluka Wanjala.
I'm Dickson and Chenze.
Chenze Emmanuel.
Also, let me ask, who has ever bought a fake phone?
Raises a hand.
You.
Yeah, I've bought a fake phone before. Okay, I don't know what constitutes a fake phone, but I've bought a phone which is not what I intended. It was a different version of what I wanted, and it was not like the one that comes from the manufacturer that I know. Yeah.
So it was branded the company you wanted, but when you launched it, it was a different phone.
Yes. I knew what to expect. It was not what I found. So it still had the branding and had a semblance of what I hoped to get, but it was not that. So yeah.
Which one?
It was a 3310 Nokia, the new the 2017 model of the Nokia 3310. Yeah.
Kaluka, any fake phone?
I've bought, I can say, counterfeit. I don't necessarily think it wasn't branded because it was a Nokia phone and I bought it when I was in college. On the box, it wasn't branded Nokia, but on the phone itself, it was branded Nokia. So when I was checking it out, I looked at the phone, it was written Nokia something, so I said I want to buy this. But when I bought now, when they gave me the retail packaging and everything, it wasn't written Nokia on the box, but the phone itself had the Nokia branding. So I don't even...
Was it running Nokia OS?
No, it was
no. So it was counterfeit, it was fake.
Yeah.
You know, the fake phone market is very big, especially in Kenya. Actually, fake phones worth 10 million shillings were seized by the government. Somewhere around Luthuli.
How did the government know these phones are fake?
I think because for most of them, they'll have to work with either the manufacturers or I don't know if it's KRA or something, but they have to work with the manufacturers. So the manufacturers know who's importing some of their devices. Sometimes they can use the IMEI number to check if it's a fake one or not. But most of the time, they'll have to work with either Samsung or Nokia, because even when they recently went to Luduli, they worked with, I think, Samsung and Nokia to sort of get some of these fake, because the manufacturers themselves know these phones are in the country.
Yeah.
But the only problem is how can you get them off the market without involving the government? So
most of them were intercepted were Samsung phones. Yes,
yeah.
Samsung.
I think that trade in videos between was done by the Anti-Counterfeit agency or something. Yeah. In that case, it might be a problem because at times what they tend to say are fake or counterfeit phones is actually just fine phones, which if you walked into a shop and bought and you got one of those, they'd actually be similar in everything. They're actually from the same company or from the same factory floor. The difference is how they got into the country.
Yeah.
So in the process, they end up undermining those ones that got through legal channels and which have been paid for tax. So these ones you find they're cheaper. There was some tax evasion at some point, and they're undercutting these other devices in the market, and someone is making a loss somewhere. That's one. And two, they're actually those which are real counterfeits. Like someone tells you this is a Galaxy S10 and they're selling it for 25k, and what you're really getting is nowhere close to a Galaxy S10 besides the branding. So there are two things. So like most of those raids, there is what are really counterfeits by every sense of the word, like people are infringing on the intellectual property of Samsung or whatever manufacturer is there. And then there are also those others that were just smuggled into the country somehow. And, it's not in like Samsung, East Africa's best interest to have them. So they also end up being rounded.
But how, you spoke about them being smuggled in the country. But of course they have to pass through somewhere. How do they even get to the shelves at Luthuli or any other retailer out there?
I think importing anything fake in the country is very easy.
As long as you have money to...
Yeah, it's not complicated. The time I was talking to a lady who was importing some stuff from China. So she told me the biggest problem that most of these people may have is if the Chinese government stops the exporting of these products from leaving China, But once they leave China, getting them into Kenya is very easy because even some of these big importers, they do have a lot of cargo that they're importing at a particular time. So KRA can't go through all of them. So they'll just have the documents and say that we have this, and this. And KRA will just say, okay, because maybe they've been working with them for a very long time. So you get them into the country, and as Chenze have said, you may have maybe 50 genuine phones and maybe 30 or 50 other that are counterfeit. So you use that loophole to say, I have 100 genuine phones, and if they look at some of the phones that you have, they'll see that these are genuine and just pass through the rest.
Do you know of all the counterfeit products in the country, actually 51.8% are mobile phone? 51.8%, according to the Anti-Counterfeit agency. So like out of all the fake products in the country, 51.8 are mobile phones.
Are those that are reported?
5.8%.
Are those that are reported, or how do they?
That's data according to data from the agency.
The way Chenze was saying, Chenze said there's two types of counterfeits. Ones that are imported illegally, they're real phones, they're working, they're from the companies, but they're imported illegally. And then ones that try to undercut these companies by creating knockoffs of these phones. But I will also add that there are others that are not using the branding of other companies. They're just using a certain sort of branding and selling certain sort of specs that when you open your phone, you find they are not those specs. So the percentage could be that high.
But people still buy those phones.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people with hot top phones. 6 GB RAM, 128 GB storage, 11,000 Kenya shillings. Then you open it and you can't install even 5 apps. So.
I'd be more interested in knowing how they arrive at that. It's 51.8.
51.8, yeah.
Yeah, at how they arrive at that figure, because that's a huge figure, considering there are so many products that come in, vehicle spare parts, textile products, and then like phones should be like uko chini.
Yeah.
Yeah, so looking at all the kind of goods that we get, to have such a high percentage for phones, that's like very alarming. It will make sense if it was in a category of, say, electronics, because we also have, you've seen those fake LG TVs. Yeah. So yeah, but when it's just phones against the world, that's a very high figure, and ideally it's a very big problem. Yeah, like when you go to town, what you can outrightly call fake phones, there are so many. Because you'd see a Samsung that is not really a Samsung. Yeah. You'd see an Infinix that is not really an Infinix. At least I haven't seen these since the Nokia, as we know, it came back. I haven't seen fakes. Yes, but before, like 2009, 2010, all the way to 2012, there used to be so many fake Nokias. So many. Like, you'd go and buy a Nokia 95 for 8K. And the interface there's nothing Symbian about it. It's something with Chinese writings and all those things, and it has a flashlight and it has TV. Yeah.
You ever been to Ludhuli? Those guys approach you and be okay, we have the original phone and a fake one. They tell you, or even a TV, any other electronic, they tell you, okay, kuna fake na kuna, are you willing to pay to part this amount for the original nini ama this for less for a fake one?
I think some of them, do they tell you that?
Yo, some tell you,
but most will not. Yeah,
they tell you, yeah, there's this.
If you can be told in a pharmacy, this is original, this is generic, why can't you be told about TVs and phones?
But Kenyans love cheap stuff.
And I personally think having a knockoff is a good thing. I've watched, was it The Verge or some video on YouTube by some media company about Adidas embracing knockoffs, because they show you that when a device you've made is getting knockoffs, it means you did a good job. Yeah. So, and I think it's a good thing to have an influx of knockoffs in the country, because it makes these other companies try and compete with these knockoffs. Yeah.
I disagree with that. On the case of Adidas, and maybe when you're looking at shoes, to some extent I'll agree with him, but when you're looking at smartphones, I totally disagree with that. Because with something like Adidas, they manufacture most of their products in China. So they're able to replicate the original to maybe, let's say, to around 70% of the original. But when you're looking at smartphones, especially if you're looking at high-end smartphones, for example, if you are trying to replicate the Huawei P30 Pro, The material, the everything, I'm not sure it's a good.
I'm not saying you replicate it to the fullest, because there's no you can replicate a Huawei P30 Pro to its fullest. You can get the design, you can get the body and the looks, and there's someone who will just carry it because it's next to the P30. It looks good, whether it takes 2 megapixel photos or not.
Can remember there was a brand, I think it's called Elephone or something. They had some of their phones on their marketing. When you're looking at the phone, it had very thin bezels and everything that you want. But when you get the phone in real life, it's completely the opposite of what you're looking for. So they were copying Samsung, and when you're looking at the marketing, they look exactly like Samsung phones. But when you get the phone and start using it, it's completely different.
Who has ever gone to a shop and then you say you want this product? Say I want Samsung S10. You get showed 2 S10s. So boss, hapa kuna S10, hii ni 80k na hii ni 25k. I think that has happened to me a number of times. Yeah, it happens. There are those, like Kaluka said, there are those who will tell you this is fake. Yeah. This is real. But there are also those who will actually just tell you the prices. And from the prices, like the pricing is the biggest factor to tell whether what you're buying is not exactly what you thought it is. Because the price will tell you. There are times we get good discounts. That always happens. But there are also times when the deal is just too the deal is too good. Like where on earth will you get an S10 for 12k or 25k or whatever amount that is just ridiculously low? Because that is what happens. And that's the number one red flag, to know like what you're buying may not be. Problem now where it comes to these counterfeits is actually when what you're buying is priced the same as the real product. Like in my case with the Nokia 3310 2017 version. I bought it at the same price that HMD was selling.
5,000.
Yeah. So there, and then also on the website, since I bought it on one of these e-commerce platforms, on the website they also have the real photos of the real 3310. So the real photos and the real pricing. The onus is on you to find out it's fake when it arrives.
Because most of these vendors, especially on this, like we've had cases of people complaining about buying fake products on Jumia or any other. So they place you see, this is a good product, it's a genuine one, but ukiletea is something completely different.
Yeah, and I think a good start will be to make everyone just, like I know one of these e-commerce platforms tells merchants to take photos photos of products on a white background, or to take photos and edit them and make sure the background is white before listing. I think a good place to start will be to make sure the real products are what photos are taken of. Not going to the manufacturer's website, picking stock photos and copy pasting the description and putting it there, because that's what happens. And that's how we end up with fake things. You go online, order something, and until it arrives, you don't know. And in this case, the Nokia 3310 was such a good fake that was I not so involved in the kind of things that I involved, which includes rating phones almost daily. I wouldn't have been able to tell it apart, because when the people who sold it to me couldn't.
The same data from the agency says that 18.3% of people who own fake products have no idea that they actually bought a fake product.
But I'll agree with you on that, because I've seen a couple of relatives with Samsungs, the high-end Samsungs, the Note series with pens. When they show you the phone, I bought a Note 8, I bought a Note 9, and it's your relative, and you can't tell. They're very happy with the phone that they bought, and they didn't inquire from you when they were buying it, so you can't tell them these are fake, because the stylus that they use, it looks weird. The screen of the phone looks like a couple of layers of screen protectors. And I guess I don't know who to blame. Is it the people who counterfeit them, or the companies that sell them, the originals, who don't know how to pass the information? But most people with counterfeits, including woofers, including a couple of other accessories for your smartphones, don't know the accessories or the phones they have are fake.
Then they're saying, then there are 19% of Kenyans who knew what they were getting themselves into. So they knew they were buying fake products, but still went ahead to do it.
I can't blame them. When I was in primary school, I had a very nice Sony radio, only that it wasn't Sony.
And you didn't care.
I didn't care because the sound was so good. I got everything. It was an FM radio. And you've seen these FM radios sold in Somali shops, right?
Yeah.
Because I bought it from a Somali shop in Mombasa, and it was imeandikwa hapo Sony, but if you look closely, it's SQNY. But it works, and it worked for me in that other period. So I knew outright that this is not like the real thing, but it worked. And actually, years later, I came to look up the real product, and it was never even ever on sale in Kenya. So the imitation was on sale here, and it works because I think I spent 700 bob on that radio, and it served me for a long time. I'll listen to the BBC, I'll do everything. Yeah, at times the fakes work. Doesn't mean they're okay, but at times they work, and most time they work for the longest time. Another time, and the other bit we need to remember is at times it's only fake because of the branding.
Yeah.
The product is actually meant to be low end. Because of the price discrepancy, it's probably meant to be low end. Like say, somebody will go and get the same screen size as what a Note 9 or everything and package it and add Samsung branding. Nothing in that product is a Note 9, but they need that appeal of a Note 9. You know, that's why people get iPhones running Android.
iPhone's running, and that happens.
Yes.
Then the 49.6% who only bought the counterfeit product because they were cheap. Surprising.
So they didn't know it was counterfeit. I think pricing plays a very big role in terms of the counterfeit.
They bought it, they knew it was a counterfeit, but they bought it because it was a cheap counterfeit.
No, probably they didn't know, but they were given a cheaper option. Like, yeah, there's the two Samsung phones here. So there's one for this amount, there's one for this. Which one will you buy for? Which one will you go for?
I think it's like what Chenze said. You're presented with two options.
Yeah.
And most of the time, so for example, if you're looking at an S10, which is around close to 100,000, and not many people can afford it, and they have another option for 15,000. And you can only afford 15,000. Most people will go for the S10 for 15,000 and say, yeah, I have an S10. So the branding plays a big role in terms of that, I think. So the brand and the price. So if it's cheaper and it's a good brand, that's what people will go for. And even if you look at some of these iPhones that are sold in is it the black market or something like that? You find an iPhone for 20,000 shillings. And people do buy them. I don't know where they get them from, but people do buy them. Some people say they're stolen and they're sold in the country, but someone will pay upwards of even 25,000 shillings for a phone that's not new, and they know it's not new, and they know the risks, and just because of the brand, and they're willing to spend that much, because for 25,000 shillings you can get a good Android phone, a new one. But people would rather go for the other, for a cheaper, what's considered cheaper, because of the brand.
Then there's another batch that went looking for original items but couldn't find them, then ended up buying fake ones.
Like Chenze was saying, when he looked up the Saudi and he realized it wasn't in Kenya, so the other option was available in Kenya and it was good. For example, I'm pretty sure there are some people in Kenya who have bought Xiaomi boxes, TV boxes, thinking that they're buying the real Xiaomi Mi Box TV, but they're buying the Android tablet for their TV. Yeah.
But these guys can still, instead of selling fake product, they can sell like refurbished, product.
That works for phones. For accessories, it's anyone's guess. Actually, for accessories, my number one advice to anyone who comes to me wanting to buy an accessory is usually to go to a shop they trust or buy from someone they trust, because that's like the only layer of protection that you have. The fakes are so good that you can't tell them apart. Like today, the SanDisk micro SD cards being sold in town, I can't tell the real one from the fake one at all myself. So I usually advise someone, like if you know someone who sells this thing and you can trust them with your life, go to them. Or a shop that really sells genuine stuff, please go to them. Yeah. So things like flash disks, memory cards, the fakes are so good, so good. And there you can be sure they are not from the same factory floor, just that they're easy to manufacture from where they come from. So someone just goes to it, spends a little money, and they also sold at good prices. But the other bit is memory prices are so low that chances are you previously you could tell that a flash disk is too that cheap that it's fake. Today they're all cheap. Memory cards today they're also all cheap. So it becomes really hard. Or things like earphones.
Yeah.
I've seen very good AirPod knockoffs. Very good ones. So much that if someone also priced them at 15K like the real AirPods, everyone will buy, and they wouldn't think there's a problem there. In fact, at this point, I don't know what the measure of determining if they're fake or not is. I think probably just checking the standards against what Apple lists and the compatibility layers and those things like that. But the fakes are so good. Like, that's the whole point, especially for accessories. For phones, there'll be catches. Like, a lot of times I can tell a fake from a few miles away. But for accessories, it's becoming harder by the day. Actually, for most people, they'll only be able to tell an accessory is not original based on their workflow. Let's say you've been using a particular mouse for so long and suddenly you need a replacement for it. You're able to tell immediately when you hold the new one because it doesn't fit this way or that way. But that's just one product. You won't be able to tell for a lot of other accessories. Like if you went shopping for, say you record a podcast like we do, and you went shopping for microphones or sound equipment, just go to town. Guys have been buying stereo sets for their cars. A lot of them are fakes. Yeah, you want an Android Auto set? I've seen the fakes right here in town for Android Auto. Looks like everything. And I only could tell they're fakes from technicalities because I've been following that particular product category for a while. But anyone else who's not so deep into the Android ecosystem, you just go buy and come and brag to you that they have Android Auto in their car.
But Kenya is it's a market of fake phones. Like if you walk downtown Nairobi, you see those other place tents, they're selling these cheap phones. The Nokia, these feature phones. You buy it. After a week, it's dead.
Yeah. Which is good if you're a thief or you just wanted a burner phone, and which is bad if you're looking for a product that you can live with. Yeah, like those 500 bob phones, I never knew they were fake until people started sharing their experiences.
Chenze has been talking about accessories and how it's hard to differentiate them, and I just remembered there's an influx of accessories that are fake from Sony, especially the headphones. You walk into a real shop, and even the owner of the shop doesn't know that they got the fake headphones. You just know it's a fake Sony from the leather on the what are they called, ear cups and all that. It's branded Sony. It looks Sony. It sounds almost Sony, but you can tell it's fake because of the quality of the material after that. And I think the best way to fight accessories counterfeit is for companies to realize that people don't know what they're selling. I was writing about experience shops are the best way to choose a product, because if I can walk into a Samsung Experience Center and experience what the accessories they're selling, and I know, this is how it works, this is how it looks. When I walk into a fake sell of such stuff, I will know that, no, this wasn't the experience I got the other side. Yeah, you can tell from, maybe if Apple was serious about the market and all that, and they have a place where you can experience the AirPods and all that, you will tell from the knockoffs in town that people will know that these are fake, these are not the real ones. For example, if you want to buy Samsung earphones, how many models of Samsung earphones do you know? They don't talk about those. They don't talk about the models that they have in Kenya. So somebody will walk into the shop and see a very nice Samsung branding and, Samsung makes this. They pick it and it's fake. Yeah.
Actually, to add, the biggest, I think, their headphones, they're also fake, lots of them. I think Sony is now facing the Beats problem. Remember when we were in campus? Everyone used to have a fake Beats something. Earphones, headphones, like Bluetooth speakers. The Beats pill kwanza. Yeah, those ones used to be everywhere. Next is power banks.
Power banks.
Like you've seen the Samsung power banks. A lot of them, chances are when you find someone it's Samsung power bank, 9 out of 10, it's fake.
Yeah.
Because the Samsung power banks cost a certain price, but the ones you're seeing are that cheap. Even the branding, there's always written, you really can be suspicious. And then the other bit is, for accessories, even these companies that sell them have not done much to discourage counterfeits. For phones, like Samsung has a verification service.
Yeah.
So when you buy a Samsung device, it could be a home appliance as big as a as a fridge or freezer. It could be a 2K Samsung phone. They were basic one with FM radio and a colored screen. You always have that Samsung code that you register for warranty, and it will talk back to you and all those things. But for accessories, I don't know of many brands that have that. I bought a pair of headsets from a Chinese brand called Bluedio on Amazon. I was surprised. They have a verification check. So they have this Chinese website where you go and key in the product serial number, and it will verify that it's really from them, and then they activate the warranty. I wish everyone else did the same, but they don't. So a lot of times you really can't tell whether the power bank you bought is real, because leave alone the pricing bit. Most of our headphones, you just buy them at the same price as the real ones. For these small earphones, the 1K, 5 SU, that's also the actual product price of the knockoff. Yeah. So there you can't tell. So it's anyone's game.
But I will also say another thing that makes people get fake accessories is you imagine walking to a Samsung shop to buy earphones. Tell me a couple of Samsung shops you know around Nairobi. Maybe the one in town, the one in Two Rivers, the one in Westgate. Yeah. And from that, you already have only 3 places to shop from. What is the idea about such places? 1, they're expensive.
Yeah.
2, they're overpriced more than the recommended retail price of this device, of these accessories. So people opt to go to the streets where they'll get them. It looks like a Samsung. Maybe it's the real one. It sounds good. I pick it and go. Yeah. So if Samsung could make things accessible in ways people, including the way Chenze is saying, can verify them also, but also available in places where people can afford them, I think they will fight the counterfeit market.
Then look at Samsung, they are all over Luthuli. You've seen the branding in Luthuli. Yeah. And it didn't start yesterday. As early as 2011, they were the same Samsung banners in Luthuli. Yeah, same LG banners and everything. I think the counterfeiting comes, there are so many factors, key among them being our purchasing power. Yeah, the pesa hatuna. So that tends, like you would go and buy a very genuine LG DVD player. Back in the day when they were a thing, I don't know if how many people still buy them. And then you need to get something like a cable or something. You don't usually go and get it from the people who sold you or the same quality or something. Usually just pick something random somewhere, the parts. Yeah, as long as it works. So there's a lot to be done to go around the whole thing. Like look at now, go to town, smartwatches are all over the place. But most of them are just fake, a lot of them. The good thing about those smartwatches, at least most of them don't try to imitate someone. They're just a brand you've never had. Yeah, and they don't work as advertised. But unlike the phones, they don't try to be something else. Yeah.
But the good thing is you go to Luthuli, buy a fake phone. The next time you go, you find someone completely different, the same store. Like, you can't even refund that product when you go back. Yeah?
Yeah. I was having a conversation with someone from one of the companies and was telling me the people who are importing the genuine products are the same people who are importing the fakes. So because for them, they do have the money to buy these products in bulk. So they're able to buy, if it's an S10, they can buy maybe up to 1,000 units and maybe 1,000 more the fakes. So for the genuine ones, you'll find them in their shops. But if you go, for example, if you go and you're buying the phone and they see that you're bargaining so much, and maybe the phone is available for 50,000 shillings, and you're saying, I have 25,000 shillings.
They give you
so, and you're and you're not willing to go up on your price. So they'll give you the S10 for the phone for 25,000 shillings, and that's probably the fake one. You go with the fake phone thinking it's the original one.
30K.
Exactly. Because even as you're buying a smartphone or any electronic product, if you look at maybe if you're bargaining and the discount is so big, maybe you should ask yourself, what am I missing here? Because with most of these, especially smartphones, the margins are not so big. Most of them don't make that much money. For example, if a phone is available for 14,000 shillings, the wholesale price maybe is around 12,000 shillings. So they don't make that much money from selling these phones. So if you are getting a very big discount, maybe you should ask yourself, why so? Yeah. To add on that, I think the demand for fakes is there. So that's why they are there. If the demand wasn't there, they won't be there.
So who are you to blame for these counterfeits entering the market? Is it the government? Is it KRA?
It's all of us. I remember there was a time I was having a conversation with someone from Nokia, and they were saying about their accessories, why they don't bring that many accessories into the country. Because if they bring the accessories the legal way, through the ports and pay out the taxes, the price, I think the 25% of the price will go to the tax. And you're telling someone to buy maybe a phone cover for 2,000 shillings.
No,
they are not willing to spend that much money. So, and if you can get a knockoff or an imitation from China and getting to Kenya for 500 shillings,
you will buy it.
Exactly.
That makes sense, because that was me a while back when I was looking for cover for my Met 9. Some guys in town called Garzon or something quoted me a price of like 2K. And then one day I just found myself at Kaluka Trade Center, and someone offered me the same cover for 400 bob. I mean, it's a no-brainer. At this point, I wasn't sure which is which, but it's a cover. And that's what you want. And that's actually what encourages a lot of these things. So I wouldn't say I don't know who to blame, but I also think it's because we have access. If this access was restricted, imagine we'd buy the same thing. We'd buy what we can get. Yeah. Because a lot of the counterfeiting, actually, from where I sit today, it just hurts us. Like today, if one of my PlayStation pads malfunctioned and I went shopping for a new one, chances are I'll end up with a fake.
Yeah.
Like the DualShock drives in this town being sold, they're mostly fake. But you can't tell, and you're also paying the same price as a real one. And that's why it hurts. Yeah.
I would say the biggest problem with counterfeits on smartphones is smartphones are quality checked for things like radiation, display brightness, and how it affects you and all that. And counterfeits don't get to be tested for such. So some of the biggest problems for a country will be carcinogenic products and all that. Yeah. So you may be buying a fake product that's actually killing you.
But how do they end up in the market if they didn't go through all these processes? Because
everything, and it's a market. Anything can happen, whether it's in China or where. We don't have the strongest of regulatory boards. We don't have the strongest of ports. We don't have the best of citizens. We still want them. You see, when there's demand and there's supply and there can be supply, there will be supply.
There are these people who, if you import your products to Kenya they are not even inspected anywhere. So if you import your products with DHL or Aramex or some of these big companies, you'll get your product, but you'll see it's been opened. But there are these people in ECD, you import your products with them and it's not open, and you get it. I don't even think they pay the taxes, but you get your products so cheaply. It's so cheap, and they're intact as they were packaged back in China. So getting products into the country without anyone knowing is very easy. It's not that hard. I think the issue will be if our government forces the Chinese government to prevent the exporting of some of these fake products, because China can do something. And even if you talk to some of these traders, they'll tell you China has the power to block exportation of some of these fake products. And there was a time there was a shortage of some of these designer shoes in Nairobi. And when some people asked, they were told the Chinese government has stopped the exportation of some of these products. So they know it's happening and they can prevent the exportation of this product. But the problem is they're not doing anything.
But is it China only the only country that comes up?
Even if it's not only China, but we focus on China, is it in the best interest of China to stop such an exportation? No. They're making money, their companies are growing, so why would they hurt themselves?
Starting point will be for those platforms that have the means, like Moso Online, they can do something. Like Alibaba spends a ton of money every year policing its platforms, weeding out fakes. Because why? They get sued. If someone buys Gucci shoes from one of these Alibaba sites, at the end of the year, Gucci also does their own tracking. They come back to Alibaba and slap them with fines, IP theft, and all those kind of things. So in order to avoid lawsuits and everything, Alibaba goes out of its way to do something. I think it would be a good idea if like e-commerce platforms also took up that. But as is the case with governments, e-commerce platforms need these merchants more than the merchants need them. So they allow them, they tolerate their shenanigans, they allow them to do all manner of things. Yeah, so it will be a while before we get there. And from a regulatory perspective, it's a nightmare. I was actually reading the Anti-Counterfeit Act. And yeah, we already have good things on paper. It's just action that is needed. Because that act even defines what it is that they consider counterfeit product. And it's everything we've said here. But the next thing is, where do we ever hear them? Because I think for at least all of us here, we've only heard about them when they swung into action to harass a few traders who had Samsung devices, which Samsung East Africa was complaining about. We never hear from them ever. And the fakes are everywhere. Yeah, so they can do something. And I wouldn't say it's such a big problem that can't be stopped. It can be dealt with. But then, when you look at it that way, it gets out of way because the sale of these items sustains lots of families in the country. So that becomes a political angle, and political goodwill is also required, and that becomes a nightmare. Because tomorrow someone else will wake up and say, stop harassing those people.
Yeah, like it's happened recently.
I was thinking, have you interacted with transient phones?
Yeah.
That transient phones, yes, but they are completely fake. So there's the way Infinix and Tecno love releasing models of their same phone. So Hot 7, Hot 7 Pro, Hot 7 whatever, Hot 7 Android Go. So you find someone, you find someone with a Hot 7. I've reviewed a Hot 7. I know how a Hot 7 looks like. They went and bought a Hot 7, but instead of running XOS, it has something that looks like iOS or something that looks like another skin. But it's Infinix. And I've seen Infinix post a couple of this on social media, how to differentiate between a real one and a fake one. So
They even have a platform where you can check.
So I don't know of the future, because this is a big smartphone seller in Kenya. So if a big smartphone seller who makes budget phones can have knockoffs that are sold for almost the same price, what about the future? How many knockoffs are there? Perhaps you're using a knockoff and you don't know it's a knockoff.
But I mean, let's just all agree. I mean, this market is here to stay unless we have clear and really strong regulations to actually govern this.
We can have the strongest of regulations unless people are just willing to say, I will not buy a fake device. Perhaps we can stop it. But if somebody will still walk to a shop and buy a fake device knowing it's fake, we'll still have knockoffs. Because as long as there's demand, there'll be supply.
Yeah.
In that act, there is actually an interesting provision. I think section 16 or something says that if you ever buy a counterfeit and it malfunctions and you suffer some damage or harm to yourself, you have grounds to go get compensation from whoever sold it to you. I don't know how many of us know that.
Really?
Yes. So if your power bank malfunctions and burns down your house,
that's why you in bed is fake, because most of them never give you receipts. Ask for a receipt.
Oh, you never get a receipt, especially for laptop chargers. Yeah, these HP laptop chargers, lots of fakes. You never get receipt. Yeah. And then tomorrow, your HP becomes a frying pan.
Thank you so much, guys, for this. Unless you have anything else to add. Nothing. No more buying fake things. I don't think I've ever bought a fake thing. Yes, I'm very sure. Maybe no.
Unless you're not Kenya.
Well, thanks guys for watching. We are at Portable Voices Studios on Murang'a Road. And I'm Nick Kanali. I blog at techtrans.co.ke.
Kaluka Anjala tekarena.co.ke.
Dickson and Chenze.
Chenze Manuel, 100kenya.com.
Yes, and until next time, kwaheri.